You know, that decides that. I walked every right. Y'all ready to get started? All right, good evening. Welcome to the March 3rd meeting of the City of Charleston Design Review Board. I'm Andy Smith. I'm the chair tonight. Board members present are Lucas Boyd, Ashley Jackrell, Aaron Stevens, Stephanie Tillerson will be joining us shortly. Members of city staff are David Meeks and Brad Thomas. Patrick's not here. No board members are recused from any of the projects tonight. No agenda items have been deferred by the applicant. There are no public comments submitted at this point. The ordered meeting will follow. Introduction of the project, context overview by staff, project presentation by the applicant. We ask that you keep this to 10 minutes. If you need additional time, please let me know at the start of your presentation. All presenters are to clearly state their name for the records. Persons affiliated with the project, designers, owners, developers, consultants, etc., should speak at this time. We'll then move into board questions. Public comments, this is also limited to 10 minutes. We ask that the applicant let any public comments proceed. You'll be given a name and time to respond. We also ask that any people from the public to please state their name clearly also. City staff recommendation, applicant response or clarification to public comments or city staff comments. Board discussion, we ask the applicant only clarify inaccurate information when recognized by the chairman, but otherwise only speak if asked a question by the board. We'll then move to a board motion in a second, any further discussion and a vote. We ask that you please turn off all mobile phones and other devices that make noise at this time. We also remind everyone that comments from the public are to be limited to site design and architecture of the buildings only. This board does not have authority over zoning issues such as land use, building density, flooding, or traffic. With that, we will move to the first item on the agenda tonight, which is at 1460 Savannah Highway, West Ashland. Request partial demolition of some windows and doors. Owner Hendricks Automotive Group.
Thank you, Andy. Just a few context slides to show everybody where the project is. Good. I could if you're putting the screen. The red thumbtack is the location of this building. 1460 Savannah Highway. Here's a closer view. And the building is here shaded red. And closer view still. And building requesting demos located back here. It's set back pretty far. And then here's a current image of the building. And we'll talk a little bit about the history when we get to staff comments, but it used to be the Caballero Supper Club. Here's an old picture from the 1990s. And with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant and step up, please. Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides. Sure.
Good afternoon, board. Appreciate you having us here. My name is David Eve with Redline Design Group. I'm representing Hendrick Automotive Group. Also I have Gene Kochi, Director of Real Estate, or VP of Real Estate.
Something.
Yeah. So we are doing some minor demo or requesting to do some minor demo on the exterior of this building. If we go to the next slide. So we're currently, as it resides, we have a lot of glass block and we have some clear windows on the front. What we're proposing to do on the front of the building is to replace the clear windows because they're leaking. They've been there for over 20 years. We also propose to take off the peeling paint, protect, and repair all the cracks and repaint the exterior. And then really the main demo is on the sides that are not visible from the street. You go to the next slide. So as you can see, these are the front views. So you can see the glass block that frame the clear glazing. You have 4 sections, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. So that is, we are proposing to take that glazing out and replace it with light glazing. So we're not touching the glass block on the front. You go to the next slide, David. So we have, we're looking there at photos of the right-hand side of the building when looking from Savannah Highway. You have right after the corner is some glass block area. We are proposing to take the glass block out and put a pair of doors, storefront doors in that section. That is all we're proposing to do on that elevation. Go to the next elevation. Next. The back, we're really not touching. And then you can see the storefront doors there again on the front corner. We just want to make those a little bit wider to facilitate getting vehicles in and out of the building. And so we were looking to make that wider. We are keeping the main features of the building, the brick pilasters, not proposing to take any of those out, and we're keeping all the rest of the glass block. In a nutshell, that's what we're proposing to do.
Thank you, David.
Any questions from the board? David, staff recommendations.
Thank you, Andy. In the ordinance that discusses demolition and the purview of the design review board, it states that the board should consider the architectural and aesthetic features of the structure, the nature and quality of the structure, including the architectural fabric, any historic significance, the nature and quality of the surrounding area, and the structure's contribution to the overall streetscape of the area. The building at 1460 Savannah Highway was the former Caballero Supper Dance Club, and it was started in 1946. It operated for 5 decades, part of which was the big band era, and has special history to many Charlestonians. The club was named for the owner's mother's favorite entertainer, Carmen Caballero, the pianist of the Eddie Duckman Band. After Henrik bought the building, it was requested to first demolish the building in 1999, which was denied. We believe this department allowed part of the front glass block to be changed in 2000 to storefront as a compromise to not demolish the building. Staff worked with the applicant to keep the original Art Deco characteristics of the building that still exists today, with a minimum demolition to the exterior for a change in operation and maintaining this existing look. Staff can support the partial demolition request. We do recommend, and we say that we are not opposed to partial demolition.
And David, I forgot, is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this application? Just hearing none. Do you have any response to staff's comments?
No, not really.
Okay. We will enter into board discussion. Or motion.
I don't see the demo's very minor, and there's nothing here that really compromises the historic integrity of the building. It is a cool little building, isn't it? Yeah, the storefront's not original anyway, so
Right.
I'll make a motion for approval for partial demolition.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
I second.
Ashley, seconds. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, go to vote. Since
In
Stephanie,
favor?
so Stephanie just got Aaron,
Yes, in favor.
And I'm also a yes in favor, so the motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you for making the choice.
Okay, no, the Stephanie Phillips. Doing the board. Okay, second item on the agenda tonight is 1919 Maybank Highway, requesting demo. David,
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Maybank. I just have some context slides to show first. I could direct your attention to the screen. You see the red thumbtack located on Maybank Highway. A closer view. That's this building right here where the thumbtack is on Maybank Highway. Closer view yet. If the board recalls a few months ago, just behind this building that we're looking at today is a 1960s ranch house that the board approved demolition of. It's gone now. And it's going to be the parking lot for this project we're looking at today. Closer view still. Building from the 1940s. Here's the view, front view of the house. Back here is the ranch house that's gone now. There's not working very well. Front view full. I'll turn it over to the applicant. Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Good evening, I'm Ashley Sherfel with Cobb Architects, and we are working with Riverland Builders for the purpose of renovating this two-story stucco building at 1919 Maybank Highway. For this demolition submittal, we are proposing to remove the existing windows, doors, porch, and columns for replacement. You can move along to the next slide. So for visual context, if you can move to the next one, since all of this is exterior currently, you can see that the portion of the building on, if you're looking at the top left image elevation, the right-hand side of this building was the original structure. It was built in around 1903, they believe, and it was a farmhouse. And the additional dwelling unit built alongside of it was built in around 1948. If you look at the back side of the building, which would be the view from the parking lot, that porch structure, we aren't quite sure when that was built. However, the code and because of our proposed renovation project, it will need to be looked at. Most of these windows and doors have fallen into disrepair, and they also all will need to be replaced. Understanding we will go over its proposed use on the next agenda item. I'll turn it over to the board for comments.
any board questions?
Just windows, porch columns.
Windows,
Doors?
doors, the porch, and columns. And most of this will be.
The stairs.
Yes, so actually the rear stairs will be rebuilt. The stairs going along the side with the double high columns, those will not be.
Any additional questions? Okay. Any public comment? None. We will move to city staff recommendations.
Thank you, Andy. The first paragraph is the same as the last project about what the ordinance speaks about, and so I'm not going to go over that one again. The building at 1919, we believe it's from 1940. I didn't know about the older portion of the building. But it's a simple colonial revival, and we believe it has always been for office or retail use. The applicants are asking to remove part of the building with the windows, shutters, doors, the porch, stairs, and columns. Staff does not see this building is being architecturally significant or the items being requested for demo worth preserving. The staff is not opposed to funding demolition.
Do you have any response? Okay. We'll enter into board discussion, a motion.
I'll make a motion to support staff's recommendation for partial demolition. That includes the windows, shutters, doors, porch stairs, and columns.
Actually, seconds. Aaron,
Any further discussion? or-
any further discussion?
No.
So say, don't go down that road unless you feel something.
Appreciate the ask, yeah. I didn't know if you were asking me if I had a comment. So we're voting?
Voting, yeah.
Okay, I'm in favor of the motion.
Because
Yes, in favor.
I'm also in favor, so the motion passed.
Thank you very much.
So we will move to 1919 Maybank Highway renovations. David,
You can stay right up
Stay
and
right up there.
continue.
Okay.
Let me know when you like to answer stuff.
So since we don't need any further background of this project, we are still working with Riverland Builders, converting this two-story office into a new market. This building does actually have significant street presence. So we think it will fit in within the context of that drive where people can walk up to the market. We will provide additional parking in the rear since that one-story house in the back is now demolished. Right here, we have the rendered elevations of an idea of the color scheme and how everything will work together. One of the biggest things, if you could go to the elevations showing the demo and the proposed.
Yeah, all right. For the elevation, here we go, sorry.
The top row shows what's proposed to be demolished and the bottom shows what we are replacing it with. You'll see we're trying to clean up that main elevation. The more longitudinal elevation is what you will see from Maybank Highway. So we are planning on aligning some windows and bringing in new windows, new shutters, and a new entry door from Maybank Highway. And the side where you will see on the first floor, the shorter elevation where we have removed windows. We do have to have a prep kitchen on the interior, so we're having to remove some fenestration along that side. However, we're choosing to have some stucco recesses that show an idea that windows used to be here. However, we are choosing to align them to give it a more prominent presence. You could go to the next elevation slide. Thank you. Since we are removing the second floor porch, we will be rebuilding it in like and kindness. So it will be rebuilt out of pressure treated wood with louvers around the bottom. We will be enclosing the mechanical area over to the right on the bottom where you have the kitchen service entry. So we'll be screening that off from public view. And there will be a more prominent entrance on the first floor with the doors as you enter into the market. And you can also see we are replacing the existing double columns with new columns in like and kindness. And you can scroll to the landscaping site plan. Our landscape architect will be beautifying the site with some plantings around the building to show, how to enter and exit as a pedestrian. And we will not be changing the entrance and exit drive. So that will be remaining the same. We have already discussed a good portion of this project with zoning, and they seem to think that there will be no issues with the new business and the additional parking and how you enter and exit. I will turn it over to the board.
Any questions for that? Okay. Public comment? Hearing none, staff recommendation.
Thank you, Andy. The applicants are maintaining the existing look to the building and innovating a new use to improve the appearance which staff can support. Staff comment number one, if wanting to keep the window shutters, we recommend that they be operable shutters. Number two, regarding the west elevation, staff would support the infilling of existing window door locations where they exist, but not creating new faux openings that are then infilled, as this would create a false narrative. Number three, provide wheel stops in the parking spaces. Number four, staff recommends the new landscape plantings at the front of the building. Staff appreciates the new landscape plantings in the front of the building. Staff recommends a restudy of the ornamental flowering trees at the front of the building, which will eventually block the entire front facade. Consider instead framing the facade with 2 ornamental trees on either end. Species not to exceed the height of the existing power lines. Number 6, by preliminary review, call out plant species, use as many natives as possible. Number 7, add some shrubs to the north side of the existing storage building. Number 8, plan to show where a potential monument sign, if any, will be proposed. This will be a separate submittal and review after the DRB process, but the location should be anticipated in the landscape plan. Possibly only a facade sign is needed at this location. Facade signs can be planned at a later date. Number 9, note to remove the existing signpost in the front of the building. But we do recommend conceptual approval or final approval by staff.
Any response, staff comments? Okay. We will move into board discussion, motion.
Clarification. It's conceptual approval, with final approval by staff. Does that mean it skips preliminary?
It's a recommendation, but if you wanted to come back.
But I mean, that's what you're
Yeah.
saying, that we wouldn't do a preliminary review at all. Okay.
Can you go to the elevation? The other elevation sheet,
Oh, the colored.
the one, no, the one with the, showing the infilled
Oh, I'm
windows.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, there. So you're saying you don't mind the infilled windows, but just leave them where they're?
That was our recommendation.
Can I ask the applicant a question?
Oh, I think it's Andy's.
No, yes,
Is there the recessed panels and the kind of faux lintel and sill? Was there a kind of a building science reason behind that, or it was strictly an aesthetic move, right?
It was strictly an aesthetic.
Yeah.
We were discussing after this submittal to not include the stucco headers because they don't currently exist. However, there is a stucco sill that currently exists. So moving forward, we will probably remove the stucco headers.
Is it a wood frame building? No,
Interestingly enough,
it looks like the window openings are pretty deep.
they're very thick. So the oldest portion, which is on the right side, is actually a terracotta block. Yes, that has a stucco finish on the exterior. And then the left portion is concrete block, unreinforced. Okay. There's a lot of plaster and lath, but they had to do asbestos remediation as well.
So are you restuccoing the whole thing or just patching, repairing and painting?
Patch and repair, most likely.
we are going to.
I might have missed it, but are the penetrations shown? Like, where's the hood gonna come out?
You're not currently showing the kitchen mechanical penetrations yet.
Okay,
That will be included on the next submittal. We do have, kitchen backgrounds to be incorporated.
Architecturally, I like the aligning of the bow openings, especially since it's a block building. I think it's a nifty kind of nod to the past, but improving it. Like that's kind of the narrative of the whole structure. They're restoring it, but making it a little better. Like the porch is a bit of a mess right now. They're cleaning it up and the existing openings on the ground floor are a little awkward anyways, so. I like that part. And the staff was objecting to that in particular item.
Lucas on that. I think if you didn't have them, it would be too long of a blank facade. Like I like having something there. I'd rather see them line up with windows than not.
you guys have any issues with going from the 3/1 to the newer window style, given the change of use to commercial?
I do not.
Were you intending the shutters to be operable? I know that's a question for the applicant, but I know that was a comment that staff had as shown or not sure yet. That's presented.
I cannot give you a definitive answer on
That
that.
would be
Okay.
operable.
Yes, they can be operable.
Motion?
Motion.
I'll make a motion for conceptual approval, but final approval by staff.
Accepting all staff's recommendations.
Sorry,
With comments.
with staff comments. Three. Four is a recommendation. Was there any landscaping?
I agree with staff's comments.
So 5, 6,
Did you say 4 or not?
yes.
I
4.
would, yeah.
6 may be tricky because we are proposing to skip preliminary review and it says by preliminary. Review.
Oh.
So they can just do that with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
would just, I would not say preliminary review if we're going straight to final.
7, 8, and 9. So my motion is for conceptual approval, but final approval by staff with staff comments 3 through 9.
I thought we removed 6,
Well, just the preliminary
Yeah.
part.
Okay.
There's no preliminary review.
but do you not want 1?
1, they're gonna be operable.
Makes it, yeah, but I just want to make sure they.
We'll add that one back, just to be.
I was like, just to be sure, I would like for it to be. I know they said they're going to do it, but yeah, okay.
Motion for conceptual approval with final approval by staff with all staff comments except 2.
Okay, are we clear on the motion or do I need to restate it?
I think we're good.
No, we're good. I second that motion.
Okay, so board discussion.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, we just made the motion. I heard the discussion.
Yeah, well, now it's further discussion.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm already getting hit one time with this.
Good.
So no further discussion. Okay, I'll call roll and vote. Ashley,
Yes.
Yes, in favor.
I'm also yes in favor. So that passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
so item number 4, actually, that's West Ash Circle parcel number 2.
I have a few context slides to show first. If I could direct your attention to the screen. The red thumbtack is the location of this project. A little closer view, this is right in front of the existing Walmart store on West Ashley Circle. Closer. This is gathering place. And this is a view into the site. This is on West Ashley Circle and then looking the other direction back into the site, which is here. And with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant. Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Blake Middleton with the Middleton Group. Working with the developer SL Shaw on two 7,500 square foot retail buildings. Potential tenants include medical office and restaurant as well. So we're still working on tenant mix. So the buildings are pretty flexible at this point as far as doors and openings, that kind of stuff. So as we move through tenants and their upfits, then we'll update those exteriors. You want to go to the next slide, David? The existing survey. There are a few grand trees on the site. I'll let landscape kind of address that a little bit, but we've gone through zoning, and I think some of these are lower graded trees that to be removed. So context, you can see the middle is the Walmart in the background of this site. And then as you move through, there's not a lot of development on Ashley Circle currently. There's some across East Ferry Road. So that included some of those as precedent or just context images as well. And then adjacent to the site, if you go to the next slide, adjacent to the site, there is some multifamily residential as well. Kevin, you want to address landscape?
Sure, Kevin Ballin with Remark Studio. Here we have some precedent images of just kind of the look and feel that we want to create, different textures, mainly native plant material, and using textures to reinforce the look and feel of the site. We go to the next slide, please. So site plan, we are in a gathering place district, so we push the buildings as far forward as we can. We do have easements along the West Ashley Circle that we have to be careful of, so the buildings are pretty flat. The gap between the buildings, we do know we need a wall there to reinforce the frontage, and within that space, that's where we anticipate potential restaurant and outdoor dining opportunity. So we're showing various elements, seat walls, potentially special paving. There are a couple trees in that area that we reviewed on site. They're not grand, but we're going to attempt to work around those if we can with grading. We have sidewalk on all sides of the site now, so we're making connections from the building on each side, just for good pedestrian access. We also have street trees all the way around, so there's existing. And as you saw in some of the photos, the main entrance has palms there. In the parking lot, we left some green space to add additional landscape. Also, we'll do a treatment at times, shown on the lower right corner, sorry, stone treatment just to create a clean edge. Dumpster shown on the lower right corner, certainly would screen that plant material. Anything else I'm forgetting? Like, I think that's essentially it for the look and feel of the site.
There is for building, go back to the landscape, David. Yeah, so the top left corner building, building A is turned a little bit. There is an existing tree. Have a tree that is?
You have to give that survey, I don't
Yeah,
recall.
but there's an existing tree that we're working around. That's why the building's notched there, and a cant to the building as well. On the right hand side, building B, we have extended the sidewalk out to the existing sidewalk to help more address, the West Ashley Circle, and there, there is street parking there, so we wanted to have that connection between the street parking and, the interior of the site. Go to the next slide. This is just the architectural site plan. Go to the next. So renderings of, this is the interior of the site from the parking lot looking at building A. It is the gathering place zoning did require a two-story, does require a two-story massing. However, we did, the Walmart covenants do not allow two-story. They only allow like a 20, I think a 25-foot maximum height or something. So we did go to zoning. We got a variance for one-story buildings. However, we are doing taller, we're trying to do taller massing, to try to meet the intent of the gathering place zoning of two-story. Go to the next one, David. This is looking from West Ashley Circle at the corner. So you see that's the end of building B there. We tried to incorporate traditional brick materials, regular openings to create more of that retail look. Go to the next slide, please. This is looking in the courtyard area where restaurant dining could occur, looking towards the building B. Go to the next slide. And then it's kind of an aerial view looking at both buildings. Go to the next slide. Floor plan for each. Right now they are, it's the same floor plan for both buildings. I anticipate it will slightly change a little bit, but in general, the floor plans will be very similar to each other. Next slide. And then the elevation. So you can see the top left is building A looking on parking lot side. The bottom elevation is the West Ashley Circle elevation. And then the other two end elevations as well. I'll turn over to the board for a second.
Thank you.
Okay, any board questions for that? Anything? No.
I did have one, if I could jump in. I think you already answered it about the reason why the building A was rotated slightly because of a tree, but the tree wasn't called out on the tree survey. So we were just wondering if it was a valuable tree. I can understand why you put the building there, but if it's not, we were going to recommend maybe getting the building to be parallel to West Ashley Circle. And it was very slight.
It's the 12-inch Chinese elm. It matches all the street trees that are in the wells, along the street parking.
Yes. I did speak to Eric Schultz about it today, and he said he'd just like to take a look at it.
Yeah.
So we'll wait to hear what the.
Certainly, if we, I think part of it too was how the parking lot was aligning, but we can definitely rotate that building needed.
But if it's a nice tree, worth saving.
Right.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's a decent tree. So.
The wood spandrels they're only on the gabled volume, right? The wood transom,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
And but then on the rear elevation, the shortest volume, is that metal panels?
It probably will be. Haven't settled on an exact material for that darker material. It'll be either metal panel or batten and cementitious.
And on the elevations, we see a transom above, on that short volume, we see a transom above those windows too, right? That's not a canopy rod or anything. On page 10. Bottom
On
of
the on the bottom left elevation.
Yeah, that's a similar transom treatment, right?
Yes, yes. It's not window, it's just, yeah, an accent above the window.
Well, yes, we don't have any public comment.
Well, I have a question on the renderings, the like patio pavers are not included, is there a reason why they're not included on the renderings, but are
They,
shown on
the renderings just didn't get updated.
Okay. But the pavers are part of the overall-
Yeah, as part of the landscape
Okay.
drawings, correct. Yeah, we'll, now that we're gonna refine the landscape drawings and add that to the renderings for the next submittal.
Any city staff recommendations?
Yes. Staff supports the height, scale, and mass of the new retail center. We like the design direction with the various materials displayed, which are still to be defined. And the combination of flat and pitched roofs. A large amount of window glazing is also nice. Staff appreciates the buildings being placed up on West Ashley Circle and the space created between the buildings to find an outdoor patio area in the existing tree. Staff comment number one, consider revising one of the building designs to be slightly different in design from the other, so they're not twins. Number two, the existing tree near the Walmart entrance is not a valuable tree. Consider shifting the western building to be parallel to West Ashley Circle. Number three, there doesn't appear to be any entrances into the building from West Ashley Circle. Staff recommends activating the West Ashley Circle side of the buildings, adding entrances and not treating it as if it were back of the building. Number four, we like the idea of seat walls at the patio in the center, but please work with Eric Schultz in zoning for placement of the wall around the existing tree to stay out of the tree roots. Consider the seat wall be arc shaped around the outside of the tree roots. Number five, consider adding an arbor for more shade in the portion of the outdoor patio. It could be designed with the new trees going through it. And the arbor could be connected to the buildings as seen in rendering. And one of the renderings on page 5. Number 6, please label your renderings the direction one is facing when viewing. Number 7, please include a north arrow and graphic scale on all site plans. Number 8, site plan should match the landscape plan. The site plan, there's no patio shown or trash enclosure. Should be shown. Number 9, trash enclosure looks to be in the best location, but consider it may need to grow larger if you're going to have food service at this location. It'll need to be screened well from the streets with landscaping. Number 10, please define better the outdoor space on the street side of building A. Whether it be sidewalks, a patio, plantings, by preliminary review, define this area better. Consider another outdoor patio space. If the space is too small for additional dining, consider a small patio with benches. Number 11, the low screen wall along West Ashley Circle should be a little taller than the seat walls for privacy and noise reduction. Number 12, where the building meets hardscape, consider adding a planting strip in some key areas with some low foundation plantings. Number 13, that preliminary review show where a potential monument sign will be proposed. And lastly, number 14, add a screen wall between the parking and street where possible. But we do recommend conceptual approval.
Any response from applicant staff comments?
When you say, just a question, when you say, a wall between street and parking, which street? Like the entry?
Well, maybe a little piece right here. I know there's some existing trees here. I don't know if we'll be able to continue along here. I don't know that it's necessary over here, so maybe, I think that may be the only, and I was unsure about this side, it does face Walmart, so maybe it's not necessary on this side. But we were.
This is a large, massive parking lot.
Yeah, I think maybe just a little bit over on this side.
We're going to move board discussion.
How do you feel about staff recommendation 1?
I don't necessarily agree. Recommendation, like, because the buildings, they're three distinct volumes when they're in an L shape. And you'll barely notice they're the same. I think. Yeah, I don't see that as being an issue per se. Can you do the renderings, David? Yeah. What do you guys think?
Can you go to the rendering that shows both buildings? Yeah, I like that.
Actually felt like from the one that was from the street view, it looked to me more like I liked how the height was varied, and as a layperson, it didn't stand out to me that they were two of the same building. Kind of to your point, Lucas, but also I am not the design professional, so.
I'm not a design professional either, but I do like the idea of when just from a visual standpoint, I don't like it when they do look so much alike, it gives no character. So I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of different shadows and different stuff in there, and the pitch and the flat does give it character, but I think that's kind of where I was leaning with staff a little bit, but I don't know if that can be slightly tweaked to give it a little bit of.
Keep in mind, you're also seeing it without signage too.
That is true.
And
And the signage could add that.
And
that
nobody's ever
level
gonna
of
be
creativity.
looking at it from that perspective either.
Mhm.
Pedestrian perspective is gonna be very different.
Are they identical in scale as well, like same size footprint? Because in one of the
Yeah.
drawings, it looked like one of them was larger, but I think it
I
might
thought
have
they're
just
identical
been
in scale and size,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
they're very much twins. It's turned.
It almost looks
Different.
like there's a Atlanta skyline in the background.
I know.
the vertical rendering shows, yeah.
That's the Walmart that doesn't want to be hidden. Only do one story in front of Walmart.
No, I think they're real nice. My only suggestion would be to restudy the gable facade. There's a lot going on with the transoms above the windows, but not above the entry. And then the tertiary material in the gable itself. I'd just say have a look at that. But apart from that, they're handsome little buildings.
May I just ask staff a question, Andy?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I would like to maybe understand your recommendation for 1. Kind of what you guys thought.
It was a mild recommendation. I
Oh,
really
it's
don't,
mild,
I don't,
okay.
I like it this way too. It was just. And it was also, speaking with the applicant, we suggested it to them via email, and they said, well, as we get to know the tenants, probably some of the facades will change a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And so that was another reason I added that comment, but we did point out that it's not really supposed to change after conceptual approval unless you get staff and, work with us about any changes after conceptual approval.
Well, then I'm fine not keeping it since it was a mild recommendation. And I'm fine with everything else. I don't know about landscaping. Landscape people.
And comment 3 was the other kind of architectural one.
There doesn't if you're not, don't if you're.
Yeah.
Wasn't gonna make grammar. Um,
Yeah.
We have a rendering from that. or just
Can we see it on the
elevation?
screen?
Yeah. So is there a
I'm
rendering
sorry?
from that
For number 3.
perspective from the West Ashley
rendering?
Circle?
So,
Yeah, from the street side.
Any entrance, and not treating it as the back of the building.
Yeah, from the street side.
Keep going back.
There you go. Those are just windows, though. There's no doors.
Again, would be dependent on what.
I was gonna say, I would think the tenant would drive if they want a door back there.
I would say unfortunately on the other side, West National Circle, where there are doors, they do still treat them like the backs of the building and there's mops and,
At least that doesn't look like a backup building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know aesthetically.
I mean, I would almost prefer not to put a door out there if they're just gonna put,
Right,
But,
I agree.
but if you're allowing parking back there, not unless there's a way to be able to easily access. those-
there's parking over on the other side. They walk around
They
the
just walk
interior of the
around.
building. It's how rancid is probably the good word for that. That it's
I know
become
across
over
the
there.
street that here's
What did you
Teeter's.
say? Rancid?
Rancid.
Doors in the back.
That too though kind of becomes almost like employee parking.
And I
So
guess
they
it's,
park and stay all day and it's not people who are coming in and out of the
So-
establishments.
but it wouldn't be a requirement, it really would be tenant driven. Right? If they think they need a door back there.
Well, we have required it
Because there's
before,
glass already.
even when applicants don't want to put it over there.
But there's glass there already, right? So even if they were to store.
I mean, I think that as long as it stays like this, unless it's a tenant driven
Yeah.
thing, I think just leaving it with the appearance of
Mhm.
I
would
just
be
hate it,
better.
like what you're talking about, when you see them pulled up to the street with that intention and then it turns into being treated like a back door and then you just start putting the back door on display.
Yeah,
This, I don't have a problem with. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
I really, if I thought somebody was gonna walk and it was gonna be a pedestrian way, it's,
If it's a fast food restaurant, they'll want a door, they'll add a door. If it's not, they won't.
I would say most likely there will be doors on that
Mhm.
brick elevation.
If I'm thinking, I'm like, if it's a fast food, they're gonna want to add a door. If it's not, well. Or,
I think I'm fine with just letting it be a tenant driven
yeah. so am I.
solution.
Lucas, another one for you, but going back to the tree. Um,
The angle?
if you angled one, would you want to angle both differently so that they stay in that L, that kind of crisp L formation?
Site plan. Can we go back to the site plan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It would,
Yeah,
and that's more of a
register.
site plan issue.
you know, I would be shocked if that tree was that wonderful, but
Did you say if it's
There's
not, then
there's also the Walmart sign that's kind
yeah, I mean,
of
I
in a
mean,
median, so.
be honest with you, I really don't have a problem with it being canted a little like that, whether there's a tree there or not.
No, it's so small.
Yeah, we looked for it in Street View, but you just couldn't see it in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is once you start pulling everything out around it and all the vine and everything that's probably up in there.
Sounds like we can let the
I
applicant decide.
I just don't, I don't think there's any real value to moving that building one way or the other.
Yeah. Okay.
how about landscaping?
It'd be really great if the landscape plan was labeled, just.
We'll get there preliminary, right?
Conceptual.
Yeah, it's conceptual.
Conceptually, I'm fine with the landscape plan.
Motion it up.
Yeah. You're gonna make it.
Go ahead, were you?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to, but,
Yeah, please.
okay, let me see. So I'd like to make a motion for conceptual approval for, 4. I think it's 4 through 13. Now, 14 was the one that you weren't really sure about the screen wall between the parking and the street. That's where you were just kind of saying,
Well, I'd like, we still recommend the wall, but it's kind of up to the applicants of the actual placement based on some existing trees and so forth. I'd like
okay,
to see some effort for screening some of the parking lot.
along the, what side is that?
On the
That's
west side.
the west side. Everyone, so, with staff recommendations 4 through 14, with 14 clarifying that that's on the western side of the street. Is there any thing else? Does everyone agree with those? I think those were 1 and 3, I think we were fine with the applicant.
Plus one board comment about
Yeah.
the gable elevation.
Oh, plus 1 board comment with gable elevation.
What was that exactly?
Lucas, can you
The
clarify
restudy-
that?
the
Yeah,
restudy
I
of
didn't
that.
follow any.
What was nice? Yeah, restudy it.
Is bad
I
as
think
me.
that's all you just said.
Yeah.
is to restudy it.
Yeah,
Yeah, materials.
yeah,
We study material.
Yeah, restudy materials
because there's 3 written.
for the gable elevation. So staff comments 4 through 14 with the clarification of 14 being on the west side, and then board comment 1 to restudy the gable materials.
I thought it was study the materials at the gable, not study the gable.
Was the study
Study the
materials?
gabled elevation materials.
Okay.
Lucas can have the honor of seconding that one.
Do we have a second?
Oh. Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ashley,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes, in favor.
yes. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
We have as a final item,
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the February 3rd, 2025 meeting.
second,
Yes, in favor?
are you seconding or?
No, you second.
I can't second.
Oh, I second. I thought he said he second as well.
I said, do I hear a second?
I third.
Okay. So Aaron,
Yes, favor.
Lucas,
Yes.
I am also in favor. So the board meeting is adjourned.